Hi, okay, so let's talk about more trigonometry. You all need to know what these two triangles are, right? This is what everything boils down to. You need to commit those to memory, okay? You really need to. We're gonna have a quiz on Monday, which will look just like this. You're gonna have to tell me everything that's in red. All right, let me erase this. So you'll have to know everything that's in red. Now, I will give you, we're going to do different trig stuff here. But on the left-hand side, those two triangles, you're going to have to know all that stuff. Okay? And also, we talked about this, right? All science teachers are crazy. And what that tells you is what trig function is positive. In other words, all the trig answers will be negative except for what is positive. So like this here is S, right? S stands for sine. So in that quadrant, only sine is positive. Cosine and tangent would be negative. If your angle was down here, only cosine would be positive. Sine and tangent would be negative. Now A means all. So in other words, all of them are positive, sine, cosine, and tangent. So what I want to be able to do is I want us to be able to figure out these top three answers. All right? This is what today's work is all about. And then I'm going to add some stuff that you see at the bottom. We're going to figure out what those are in a minute. Okay, anything over a 6 means that we are 30 degrees. Okay, pi over 6 is a 30-degree angle. And the sine of 30 degrees is 1/2. The question is now, is the answer going to be positive or is it going to be negative? So I need to think about that. Where is 5 pi over 6? 5 pi over 6 would be right here. Well, only sine is positive there, and since we're finding sine, the answer is a positive 1/2. I want to change this one from cosine to sine, okay? So we're doing sine instead here. Now, this is a pi over 4, which means 45 degrees. And the sine of 45 degrees is root 2 over 2, right? It's from our triangles. The question is this going to be a positive or negative answer? Well, 7 pi over 4 is this quadrant here. Only cosine is positive. So since we're doing sine, the answer would be negative. This last one here, let's make it, instead of 5 pi over 3, let's do 3 pi over 3. Now tangent, it's over a 4, so that means 45 degrees. The tangent of 45 degrees is 1, right, off of our special triangles. The question is it a positive 1 or is it a negative 1? Well, let's look at this. 3 pi over, again, all science teachers are crazy. 3 pi over 4 is in this quadrant right here. Only sine is positive. Since we're doing tangent, the answer must be a negative 1. Okay? Now, so, today's assignment is to practice a lot of that stuff. Now, I've got 3 angles at the bottom, and these are over 2's, which we haven't seen before. But we should realize this is like 90 degrees, 90 degrees, 270 degrees. These are angles that are not on the two triangles, right? So I need to help you kind of figure this out. So what I did was I made a picture here. I drew a circle. And I put a triangle inside that circle, okay? And there's an angle down here. And this circle, there's an x distance and a y distance. Now you should notice that the radius of this circle is 1, right? See the 1 right here? It's got a radius of 1. So that means the hypotenuse, right, this distance is 1. So if I wanted to say, find the sine of this angle, the sine would be opposite, which is y, over 1, so y over 1. And then cosine of this angle would be adjacent, which is an x, over the hypotenuse, which is 1, x over 1. And then tangent Tangent would be the y value over the x value, right? Opposite over adjacent. So as I move this pointer around, you can see on the left-hand side that these calculations are changing all the time. So what I want to think about is, really, sine is just the y value, isn't it? So if I bring this, and actually let me put something else on here too. Okay. So as I bring this point closer and closer to 90 degrees, again, we said that the sine is the y value. I think you should agree when I get to 90 degrees, the y value is 1. So the sine is 1. And the cosine is the x value. At this point here, we could tell that the x value is 0, so the cosine is 0. And then tangent would be y over x, or 1 divided by 0, which, ignore this, right? That doesn't make any sense. 1 divided by 0 you can't do, so this should say undefined, okay? Same thing over here. If I'm over here, think about for sine. Sine is the y value. Over here, the y value is 0. Cosine is the x value. So cosine is going to be -1. So do you see this, what's going on? The answers are going to be 1 or +1 or -1 or 0. Just depends where we are. Like if I'm down here, again, cosine for this angle is the x value. The x value is 0, so we can see that the cosine is 0. The sine is the y value, which is -1. Tangent would be y over x, so -1 divided by 0 is undefined. Okay? So in our notes, I need you to add something here. Before we figure those out, I need you to add what we just had there. Circle, where we write down the points, x, y, x, y, the x value and the y value, the x value and the y value. And that sine is equal to the y value. Cosine is equal to the x value. And tangent is equal to y over x. So if I'm trying to find here the sine of pi over 2, the sine of pi over 2 is going to be right here. That's where pi over 2 is, right? Sine is the y value. The y value there, again, that's the point 0, 1. The y value is 1, so the answer is 1. Okay? Cosine of pi over 2. Cosine is the x value, 0. 3 pi over 2 for this one. Well, 3 pi over 2 is down here, and that point is at 0, -1. Tangent, again, is the y value over the x value. The y value is -1. The x value is 0. And -1 divided by 0 you can't do. So the answer is undefined. Okay? This is a subject you're going to practice on that worksheet that's attached to the Google Classroom page. And then in class the next day, we're just going to practice a lot more of those. Okay? All righty. Thank you.